Hello and welcome back to the Blend podcast. I'm your host, Mike Ruff. We have yet another inspirational garage owner joining us today. He's faced his share of challenges, has made some bold decisions and differentiated his business in ways that have set him apart from the local competition. Today he's not just running a garage though, he's leading a team, shaping a brand and preparing to take to the stage as a speaker at the Blend in Birmingham later this month. Chay Blythe of Fife AutoTech, which of course was voted as the community's Garage of the Year at the Blend last year, is here to tease the talk that he'll be presenting at the Blend 2024 on accelerating achievements. Chay, great to have you on. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much, mate. Appreciate it.
You've made great progress since starting your business in 2020. After kickstarting your career at a couple of independent garages, you later discovered your passion for the Volkswagen Group while working at a Volkswagen dealership, and then you found the motivation to start your own business. Where did that motivation come from?
The motivation come from, so I went through the Volkswagen training program at Milton Keynes through service technician, diagnostic technician, then master technician. I kind of feel like as much as I did learn new bits every day, I kind of peaked a wee bit there. And it was actually my boss at the time who came across Steve Scott's Simply Diag network. I got a bit obsessed with that, started looking at all his YouTube stuff, paid into the private group, and pretty much from there I realised that as much as at the Volkswagen sort of dealership level, I kind of felt like at the top of my game, but I realised quickly there was much more clever guys out there than me, doing diagnostic stuff that looked like they had learned at Hogwarts, I suppose. It was completely alien, using oscilloscopes and pressure pulse analysis and stuff like that. So I felt like a bit of a schoolboy again. It gave me the drive back, which was good because I thought I want a bit of what these guys are doing. It's way beyond my diagnostic capability. That put me in touch with a lot of the what I see as the industry gurus. Darren Darlin, Clive Atholl, Avon Tuning was mentioned a lot, Barry Lawson, Scott Boyd, Stevie Patterson, stuff like that. It put me in a network with these people where they were already doing it and living it every day. So I wanted to be a part of that. So I kind of at that point, still being at Volkswagen, wanted to have an independent garage, but didn't do too much about it. Just thought that would be good, but never really pushed for it or anything. And then of course COVID hit. We had time on furlough. Give me a chance to start building a bit of a business plan, or for my limited knowledge what a business plan was. And I spent a bit of time on the phone with the guys I just mentioned, Steve Scott, Dan Darlin for the DPF doctor, Barry Lawson, Scott Boyd, Andy Saba sat and went through it on the phone with me and put some numbers together as to what I would need to do to make it happen. And I think one of the biggest things I learned for these guys, and one of my first questions was, what did you do wrong? What you done wrong in business that you would regret and change if you went back and did it from the start, because that's where I was. That was a big help, finding out what all these guys did wrong, undercharging, not training, working all the hours under the sun, fixing cars and letting the customer away without getting paid and stuff like that. So,
and this was all prompted by the pandemic.
That was, I probably would still be at Volkswagen if COVID never hit. So by the time I put the numbers together and spoke to the people that I seen as specialists and how they could help me and stuff like that, just with advice and guidance, then it pushed me into it. I felt like that was it. Time was up. Went back to work after COVID at Volkswagen. It wasn't the same place I left a couple of months before for furlough. So it was kind of a pushing point then that this is the time to get out of the dealer network. I've got a plan. I knew there was an empty garage that was close to where I worked at the moment. There was an empty workshop and COVID shut the guys down. So that was going to be up for rent. So I pushed it from there and eventually started up July 2020. Just after the first lockdown. A lot of people thought I was off my head, but I thought I'm just going to have to go for it now, otherwise I'll probably never do it. And yeah, that's where we went with, and we just went for it, put my notice in and went for it.
What was the vision you had for the new business?
The vision for the garage was very much stick with being a Volkswagen Audi specialist. It's what I was trained in It's what I loved as a brand. I've driven the brand from 18-year-old and nothing else basically. So I always wanted it to be a Volkswagen Audi specialist. But when I was doing the business plan, I thought I'm probably going to have to take in all brands and I'll make some models and stuff like that just to make money at the beginning, because I didn't start up with any money. And I was worried there that this won't work, just trying to do Volkswagen, Audi, Seat and Skoda right from the beginning. And I remember quite well on the phone to Andy Sava when we were doing the sort of pen to paper back of a napkin sort of business plan. His words to me were, open up with Volkswagen, Audi, Seat and Skoda on the sign. If you can't make that work, just close the door and go and get another job. Because if you can't make that work, you won't make anything work with it, basically. So that was the vision. The vision was always just to be Volkswagen, Audi, Seat, Skoda, and try to be the biggest specialist in the area within sort of 5-10 years. That was the game plan.
It's a bold move starting your own business, isn't it? I can only admire you guys that have that courage to make that move. What were the biggest challenges for you, though, while trying to establish a new garage business?
The biggest challenges for me, I've got a young family. At the time, my youngest one, who's going to be 5 this month, was only a year old. We had recently moved house to accommodate her being born, so we took on a bigger mortgage, we had more overheads. The biggest challenge for me was I didn't start with any startup loans or business loans or funding or anything like that. I sold anything that I could, pretty much. So I sold my wee van, sold my motorbikes, sold my home gym, and just started with what we had. So I would say probably finances were the biggest challenge for me at the start. And of course I knew how to fix cars, I knew how to diagnose cars, but I didn't know how to run a business. This was new to me. I've never run a business before. I've never done any business management training at that point. This was all learn on your feet kind of thing. So they were the biggest challenges for me, was trying to juggle all the balls and spin all the plates, from having a wife and 2 young kids, starting up with little money, and having zero business experience, I would say. And that was the biggest challenge for me, was trying to juggle all that at the one point and learn as I went, still pay all my bills in the house, still pay all my garage bills. They were the biggest challenges here.
With those family pressures in mind then, where did you find the courage to make that move? It's obviously worked out extremely well for you. Business is going from strength to strength, but what was the point at which you decided that it was essentially now or never?
I believed in what I was planning on doing. I believed in my ability to diagnose and fix Volkswagen Audi Group. So I knew I could fix the cars. I just had to know that I need to charge accordingly for it, which was one of the challenges I faced, was from being on an hourly rate to how do I then ask somebody for 200, 500, £1,000 out of their pocket. That was definitely something that I struggled with at the beginning, was being able to charge for it. But again, having that network of people around about me that again probably believed in me more than I did, the people that I mentioned previously, straight from the get-go, charge what you're worth. And if you charge what you're worth, we had worked out how many hours I would need to charge in a week, a month, to make it possible for the garage bills and for my own bills. So I just rolled with it. I just went for it. I suppose having the guts just to do it and think, well, if it all falls through, I'll get another job. Like that was about the top and bottom of it for me, is I could always find another job. That wasn't going to be an issue. The issue would be more in my own mind that I had failed at probably doing that. So I had that burning into the back of my head as well. And once we had started and got going, it was pretty much just graft and make it happen. Me and my wife had spoke about it. I was going to do it, and it basically meant if I worked till 10, 11, 12 every night at the beginning, that's just what needed to happen for us to make it work and for it to grow as a business. It is what it is, kind of thing. We had made peace with the fact that I'd probably never be in the house for the first couple of years, which turned out to be the case. But we planned for it. we knew that this was the way it was going to be, and we had to make money, we had to look at growing the business, and that's just what we went for. We just sort of head in the sand, tail in the air, and went for it.
How long was it before you started working more sensible hours?
At least 2 years in. I would probably even say at the end of year 3, we've just done 4-year-old as a business. At the end of year 3, I was still doing ridiculous hours, I would say. And there is some days where I will still do the same.
No, I can imagine. Talk us through the growth of your business then, Chay.
So, yeah, opened up purely on my own. Opened up July the 20th, 2020. On my own, just taking calls, fixing cars, working all the hours that God would send me was pretty much the plan. Now, I did have a plan to go 1 year in, I'll take on another technician, and I'll take on my wife, and we'll grow from there. It lasted 6 weeks, so Stuart, one of the guys I worked with at Volkswagen, he come across probably at the perfect time. So I was diagnosing the cars, but then struggling to get the repairs done. Or somebody would say, look, could you do my timing belt? Could you service that while it's in? I didn't have the time to do it. No long after, so inside 2 months, that we took on the first member of staff. He's another technician. And that was an absolute game changer. Having someone else to keep working while I had to stop and answer a phone, do an invoice, order parts, stuff like that. He would still be working and therefore still earning money for the business. So that was a huge turning point. Fast forward on 4 years, there's 9 of us in the current workshop. Hopefully we'll move on to 10 within the next month or 2. But that's where we're at now. If we were at then, 4 years, 9 staff now at this stage, and in a far bigger workshop than where we started.
Excellent. Now, I'm pleased to hear it's going so well for you. Now, I'm going to throw the question that you asked of others when you first launched your business. What went wrong for you?
I was my own worst enemy, I would say. I would have a price written down what that job was worth, and it would be charged at a reasonable hourly rate. And then I started just discounting jobs and stuff for no reason, just because the guy was maybe into me 2 weeks before for another repair. I would take 10% off this repair. They hadn't asked for it. They had agreed to the price without the discount. But I would take money off anyway. And other jobs where I would spend 5 hours getting to the bottom of a fault, a diagnostic job, spend 5 hours finding the fault, and then they would walk in and I would charge 1. So as much as I knew what I shouldn't be doing, or doing, I still found myself falling trapped to that. So that was probably the biggest challenge for me, was practice what I preached, I would say. If someone else phoned me with a situation, I'd be like, that needs to be charged to the customer, it's not your fault, and stuff like that. And yet then I would do the exact same. If a job come into my workshop, it's no my fault, but the car was in a week ago and it's got a separate issue now, I'd end up fixing it for free. So that was challenging in the early days when we didn't have the finances behind us to do that. So
why did you feel the need to do that?
I felt a lot of, I don't know, it became personal. I felt a lot of loyalty to the people bringing cars into us to be fixed. And I felt like, oh, he's been in 2 or 3 times, and I'm charging him the same labour as I'm going to charge this guy who's never been into me before, and might never come in again, and stuff like that. So I would definitely I'm still guilty at the moment at times. But a big change point for me was having other staff to do the bills. So I might price the job, send the price out to the customer. They'll agree the job, or one of the other guys will price it and send it to the customer. And basically, if that's the price that has been authorised, then that's the price that's been authorised. Let the guys do the invoicing. Try not get myself too involved in the day-to-day, and disconnect the personal side from it. As business, we've got massive running costs, and we need to make money to accommodate that. And even taking 10% off of jobs is a big deal. You're losing a lot of your profit margin there. So take the personal aspect away from it was probably what I learned, and let the people that you're paying to do a job do their job. If they've agreed that price with that customer, then then that's the price that's been agreed. The customer's been happy with that price, otherwise they wouldn't have approved it. And let that invoice roll at the value that you had agreed on.
While we're talking about staff and having yourself admitted that you were new to running a business, what was your process for determining the skills that you needed to grow that business?
I still take very much a lot to do with the daily planning of the workshop. How many jobs are we getting in that are diagnostic jobs? How many jobs are we getting in that want timing chains done or turbos fitted and things like that? So I gauge it on how our lead time, looks on an overall schedule. We try only book about 4 diagnostic jobs a day. If I'm 3 or 4 weeks ahead for that to get in with me, then the chances are people will no wait. They'll probably make a booking and no turn up. So then we try recruit in that area then. If we're really busy with service work and that stays like that for a couple of months, then I need another service tech. I need to try pull that lead time down a bit just to serve the customers better. The diagnostic side's the difficult bit as far as recruitment goes. The skill set, the skill gap, I would say, in diagnostic, electrical diagnostic and stuff like that, a huge skill gap there. So you kind of need to commit to taking someone in who's diagnostic orientated and wants to progress further, wants to head towards diagnostic tech qualifications, master tech qualifications. In my opinion, you just need to find someone with the right mindset, recruit them and train them, put them on technical training and stuff like that. You're going to really struggle to recruit a high-level diagnostic technician because there's very little out there. A lot of the guys are still in dealerships that are decent, that have been a lot of training behind them, and it's comfortable at a dealership. The diagnostic guys will not be too hard pushed because it's relatively new cars, it's relatively repetitive issues. So to then pull somebody like that into an independent environment where they're going to have to be really using their head and fault finding and stuff like that, I believe that's very difficult to recruit for. That's what I've found. So our guys get brought in at a level where that's what they want to do, and then we train them accordingly. We show them our ways of working. We put them on technical training paths and stuff like that, and you've just got to train towards it. You've got to bide your time. John coming into the workshop had a very steep learning curve as far as diagnostic work went. He had a very steep learning curve where he would keep coming and asking me questions, and I tried, not deliberately, sometimes I just didn't have the time to come along and help him, or I was too busy doing other things. He would just crack on and he would get to an answer, and eventually through the technical training and just the experience of doing it every single day, I mean, his ability is second to none when it comes to diagnostic work. I would put him in front of anyone and he wouldn't be out of place. So I think it's just time and training. There's no fast track to that.
Yeah, we hear time and time again about that skills gap, but I think more and more garages like you aren't so much looking for those ready-to-go skills anymore, simply because they're so few and far between, I suppose. They're instead sort of seeing the value of finding the right people, those with the right attitude, the can-do attitude, and essentially growing your own. So it's interesting to hear you say that. Now, earlier this year, the Blend opened applications for speakers at this year's conference. In your application, Chay, you said successful garages need to be a shark in the ocean. What did you mean by that?
So, when I was doing the business plan to get the place off the ground, that was one thing that Darren Darlin had said to me from the DPF doctor. So, my plan was to fix all brands and do everything I could. And Darren says, you need to be a shark in a pond and not a small fish in the sea, basically. Be the best at what you do and don't just fall into becoming another independent garage that's trying to fix everything, and you end up, they're too busy competing with everybody else that just fixes and services all brands of cars, tyres, exhaust, brakes, stuff like that. So that's where that come from. It was from Darren at the DPF doctor. He was like, look, just take over your local area, be the best at what you do in the local area, and don't worry about trying to compete with everybody else and just becoming another fish. He's like, you need to be a shark in the area. You need to be that's the place that everybody wants to go to for a specific group, which in our case was Volkswagen Audi groups. So rather than just become another independent nobody, I suppose, we push to just be the best at Volkswagen and Audi and get that level of reputation that come with that, so that everybody comes to you and you don't need to go chasing work, I suppose.
Tell us about your session that you'll be leading at the Blend then, Accelerating Achievements.
So we are going to be doing a talk, I suppose, on our journey so far and how we've accelerated in achievements and winning awards and staff getting the recognition that they deserve, and how you grow a profitable business quickly in this trade. Our talk is going to mostly be on how we opened in the middle of a pandemic, pushed forward, believed in what we wanted, employed the right staff that also believed in that, and just kept pushing the business forward, having the guts to not worry about what everyone else is saying. Don't do this, don't do that, just go for it. I wouldn't say be reckless, but if you could see a progression point like with us with the building we're in just now, it's a lot more expensive than where we started, but we knew it needed to happen for the growth, so we just wait for it. Just charge accordingly for your work, get the profits in the business and leave them in the business for your growth, and how that can then excel you into the point where I suppose we're at just now, where we are now considering another site. Don't sit back and think everything's all comfortable now, because this trade rapidly changes. Keep your staff motivated, keep everybody on point, and you will achieve, you will achieve good things. You will win awards. You will make money in this trade. Where people say you can't make money in the motor trade, you will make money in the motor trade.
It was your first year at the Blends last year, wasn't it? How did you find it?
It's awesome. It's an excellent networking event. I remember going in on the Friday night we first got down there last year and looking about thinking, like, there's 20 people that I massively look up to in this industry and strive to be like, just sat at the bar, just everybody talking and getting to network with each other, share ideas, have a laugh and a bit of a drink as well. So that for me is one of the biggest things with the Blend, is you go there and you network with some of the best in the industry. You've got some absolutely fantastic, talented diagnostic technicians, master technicians, business owners, the people that have made a huge success in the motor trade. In the independent sector, being successful seems to have been limited to the dealership networks, and to see some of the people on the Garage Hive and the Blend networks, where they've got businesses that put dealerships to shame. So rubbing shoulders with that kind of people, getting to listen to the business advice and the talks and stuff like that they put on, the presentations, is phenomenal. It's invaluable. I'd recommend anybody gets themselves involved in that kind of thing, even if they're no with Garage Hive and stuff. I'm pretty sure the Blend's an open event where anybody can book on, whether you're with Garage Hive or not.
Yes, so any garage owner or manager in the UK and Ireland can book tickets to come along. 5 years ago, the Blend was established by Garage Hive as an opportunity for Garage Hive workshops to come together, but it's since grown into a conference that covers much wider discussions on industry topics and business improvement. So all garages are welcome. You don't need to be using Garage Hive. It's an open opportunity for any garage to come along and network with some of the industry's most renowned and respected names. Speaking of which, Chay, what are you hoping people will take away from your talk at the Blend?
Have belief in yourself. Have belief in what you're capable of, what your journey is, what your vision is, what your mission is. Believe in that and push it. People call them dreams. They're no, for us, they're goals. I believe you'll never reach your dream, but you can reach a goal. So just believing in your own ability and take the bull with the horns and go for it. That's what we're hoping to get to people, and make good financial decisions. If you're doing it right on a daily basis, don't technically need to go ask banks for money and investors or stuff like that. If you build the right team that make good profit, you'll be able to fund the growth yourself as well. So
we're looking forward to hearing much more about your experiences at the Blend, but for now, thanks for taking the time out to join us on the Blend podcast, and we'll see you at the Blend in just a few weeks' time.
No, pleasure, mate. Thank you very much.
Thanks as always for listening to the Blend podcast. If you're yet to book tickets to the Blend 2024, do so now while there's still some available. It's happening in Birmingham on Saturday the 28th of September, and this year's lineup is particularly impressive, so you're not going to want to miss out. We'll be back with one more episode before the blend itself, and I'm pretty excited with the guests that we've got lined up, so make sure you're subscribed to the Blends podcast in your usual podcast player, and we'll see you next time.